Guys, I've been working with the audio quality, so let's hope this one works. What if Goku took over planet Earth? Here's where the big difference happens. He never hit his head. And every day he trains. He's stubborn. And he still made the same deal with Chi-Chi, but this time actually saying the same thing to Bulma. That she'd be his second wife. Well, Chi-Chi actually saying, I don't care how many wives you have, I want to marry you. Saying even the same promise to launch, both in her blue-haired and blonde-haired form. Though the blue-haired was very flattered, the blonde-haired one said, what makes you strong enough for that? Goku then saying, you've shot me how many times, and how many of them have actually injured me? That's what I thought. Good. Although, when he's dominating Earth when he actually is starting to dominate Earth, although his best friend Krillin actually went to stop him, saying, you don't need to take over planet Earth. It makes no sense to do that. Goku saying, I must take over the planet. I don't want to kill, but I will take over Earth. I will fight armies that are unjust. I will fight people that will murder. I will protect the world from its sin. This is when Krillin actually said, understandable. Alright, fine, Goku. You win. But what are you going to do when people oppose you? Are you going to simply conversate with them until they're done? No. I will give them just punishment for what they've done in the past. Teach them for the future and allow their survival, unless they are of pure evil. Then I will grant them a swift death. That is my promise. As this is when Krillin said, fine, I'll stay behind you, Goku. Tien and Yamcha saying, we'll be there too. Trust us. This is your planet now. As every form of government respects Goku as their leader, they never would attack him. They see it as the strongest lead and the weakest die. Though they do also are teaching compassion. Though Goku does have compassion, he doesn't use it as much as he usually should. Honestly stating, if you see someone injured, help them. If someone is starving, feed them. If you yourself are hurt, get a hospital help. If you are injured bad enough, see the Capsule Corp Foundation. Because he's basically becoming God. Kami a few times has actually said, what are you doing? I am the guardian of Earth. Unless you take that role, this isn't your responsibilities. It's mine. Goku then saying, you're doing a shit job. I am no guardian of Earth. I am its king. You are its god. Let us lead it our own way. I lead the people. You keep the planet in order. Alright? Kami gripping his teeth saying, fine. Also, I need you to upgrade the Room of Spirit and Time. Oh yeah, what upgrades? You can go in there as long as you want. There is no 2-year limit. Alright. And is there a way you can actually make it where there's 3? We can accommodate for more than just 2? I'll be honest with you, it's only a supplies issue. I mean, I could. It wouldn't be that difficult, but I don't think I wasn't planning really on doing it. But it's whatever, sure. Making it where it has room for 3 and then even 4. Once it has room for 4, saying, thank you. As there's kind of monthly meetings between Goku and Kami. And Goku has 3 sons. He's got Gohan, the strongest of his boys. Though he actually doesn't quite actually have the other sons yet. As a 4-year-old, Gohan actually stands as the technically strongest one on Earth. Though his 3 wives do care for him a lot, none of them would be willing to, they don't really care that Goku is leader of the world. they all live together in a good house. So yeah, it's a pretty good deal. But they also have to deal with a few things. One, Chi-Chi letting Gohan train. She lets it happen. Because Gohan actually likes to train in this version. Launches, whenever she has a kid with Goku, she's planning on letting it happen. And Bulma, same thing. Launch's child is actually a single year younger than Goku. Launch's child is actually a single year younger than Gohan, who is 4 years old. This child is 3 years old. And the child after that is actually not sad, but a mere 2 years old, being Trunks, as Goku has raised each of them strong enough to fight and even protect themselves in emergency situations. While Goku isn't actually the same strength he was in canon, his power level is more along the lines of 600. He has the strength to dominate any fight, and actually kept his tail. This is where Raditz would show up, laughing in Goku's face, calling him pathetic. 600, that's all. This is when you hear, Special Beam Cannon, as it flies right by Raditz with another power level of around 600, walking right next to Goku and standing by his side. Piccolo saying, "So Goku, looks like you need a little help with this guy." Rad's thinking, this is more of a challenge. Should be fun. As you hear, Destructo Disc, as one flies right by Radz, as Radz barely is able to dodge it, saying, "Wow, I felt that." Power level just behind there saying, "I figured y'all could use another set of hands." Wolfang Fist, flying right next to Radz, actually being able to scratch his face, landing right next to Goku, saying, "I figured I could use a good old workout." Dodinpa. Dodinpa! That's the technique that Tien uses. As it flies right by. As it flies and actually almost barely hits Raditz, scratching his armor, saying, "Who the hell is out?" As Tien walks in, saying, "I figured I could have some fun with this one." What the hell? As you hear, Kamehameha, as a buff Roshi lands right next to them, saying, "You know, Sonnies, I am technically the most experienced in this brigade." Roshi, stop acting like you're senile. Yeah. Alright. So I figured I could have a fun, too, in my old age. Getting into a fighting stance, saying, "Let's have some fun." Roshi is technically immortal, and if you think I'm lying, there's times when it shows an old Roshi, like, with an old Krillin. Remember, he's over 300 years old. I'm calling bullshit he's a normal man. I'm not saying he can't die. I'm saying he won't die from old age. So that's what we're going with. Yep. Because Roshi's actually technically the advisor to Goku. He tells Goku what would be a good idea to help with the Earth. Though, Roshi does get a few babes from this. He doesn't always just choose to go with babes. He mainly chose this to teach his students a few more lessons, saying, "Well, let's go." As they all went up attacking Raditz at once, jumping him. Raditz losing this fight very badly, with injuries all over him and a hole in his chest. Goku then takes a sensu bean, saying, "No." Saying, "Use that technique with a little bit of ki," flowing a little bit of ki through him, healing him enough where he wouldn't die. Saying, "Alright, let's give him to a regular hospital." Being that they actually come to Bulma's hospital, saying, "Usually we're stuck dealing with y'all, but this guy is so much stronger." Them actually being a little bit surprised. Goku then saying, "Look, From the way we beat the hell out of him, I think it takes him 2 days to wake up. Without a senzu bean. Getting about 20 senzu beans from Korin and going all the way up to the, training to the room of spirit and time, deciding to choose who goes in. The first one being Goku, Roshi, Tien, and Yamcha. While Krillin, Piccolo, and Piccolo were saying, wait, Tien, come here. Tien deciding to stay with them, saying, sure. They all go back, and then they wait a day. Then they exchange spots, going in the room of spirit and time, and coming back the next day. All of them have trained for a year at this point. Their power levels all have reached over 1,000. Goku's power level seems the highest and most dangerous, though, at 4,000. This is where you hear Rats wake up injured, saying, damn, how am I not dead? What the hell? This is a hospital. Did one of them stupid Earthlings take me to a hospital after I got the hell beaten out of me by my brother? Brother, you say? Looking up, seeing Goku, saying, also, Earthlings aren't stupid. Krillin butts in. Alright. This is where they explain things to him and say, alright, you know what? Let's explain things. As Goku explained what's going on, he is the king of Earth. And he would not be threatened by anyone, not even his own brother. Hearing this, Rat saying, so you did take over the planet. Yes, it is my planet. I do not allow anyone to attack it. Well, I'm sorry to say, but I think someone will. As they hear through his comm saying, you failed, Raditz. If that's all the power levels they have, that's not even a fight. We'll be there in 1 year. Hearing this saying, really? So that Vegeta guy, he's 18,000, and the guy with him is 5,000. Power levels? Wow. That might actually be a fight. What do you mean? They've also got the resolved forms. They can multiply their power tenfold. Alright, and whatever. Raditz, you're coming with me. What? You're coming with me to train. Here, senzu bean. Raising his power level up only to 2,000. Goku's power level being around 3,000 at this point. Everyone else is being around 1,500, so yeah. They'll train on Earth in the room of hyperbolic time, and around the actual, and with Popo. You and me will train on this planet of King Kai. We will go down Snake Way. We will make it. I've never been there before, but it should be a good place to start training. After all, this is the strongest god I've met so far. Hearing this, saying, really? Should be fun. No, it'll be brutal as hell. Let's go. They actually get permission and fly down Snake Way. Landing, actually deciding to go and train. Once they're done training, this is where they actually get back to Earth with power levels of 16,000 and 19,000 respectively. Goku being stronger than his brother by 3,000, even though they're both weighted down with clothes. Though when they do take it off, they are more even in power, with Goku's being 25,000 and Raditz's being 24,000. This is where they get back to Earth and see everyone's power levels increase quite a bit, each to 18,000. Though they are weighted down, so their power levels aren't quite there yet. They look more 15,000. Except for Gohan, whose power level is still only around 4,000. Saying, what the? Gohan, why is your power level so low out of everyone? You're a Saiyan. Why aren't you stronger? Rat says. Then Goku said, son, take your weights off. Alright. And stop lowering your power level. Alright. Gohan's power showing a high amount, as it read 18,000. Holy. Saying, are the other two anywhere near this power? Let's see. They both dropped their weights and sang, "Ha!" Being 17 and 16,000 respectively. Holy hell. I'm impressed. So tell me, is this the strongest people on Earth? Of course. There is a tournament, and the strongest guy so far, there's every year a tournament, and whoever can get the highest thing gets the chance to fight Goku. For this last year, it was this guy named Hercule. He isn't as strong, he is quite martial arts endowed. His power level, though, being a mere 210. That's all? I know, right? But he doesn't have ki yet. We're allowing him to train somewhat with us. We want him to be trained by Roshi. Though Roshi said, I'll train him, but he's not as strong as y'all were when y'all were little. But I think I could train him a little bit. After all, he's the second strong. He has got a chance of joining the army. Their army basically being them only. Raditz is given an olive branch to join, and he actually accepts. Back to What If. When they have to deal with Vegeta, Vegeta's first instinct is try killing Goku. Only to be grabbed by his neck, snap his arm, and only for Goku to grab him by the neck, snap his arm, and start beating the hell out of Vegeta, leaving him in a pile of his own blood, while Nappa and Raditz got a fight, a rematch since all the bullying Raditz always took from Nappa. Nappa being put to the point where he's got every bone broken in his body, Vegeta being right there next to him, neither of them able to even stand up. They can't even touch their things to get their ships to them. Goku throws senzu beans to each of them. Actually doesn't quite throw a senzu bean to them, but does heal them a little bit with ki. Their power actually raises up to where they're actually able to move, and three of their bones are healed. A few of their bones are healed. This is when they could somewhat move, but they would still be in quite bad injury, with Goku saying, listen up. I'll offer you an olive branch. Join me. I am Son Goku, or Kakarot as you may know me. I am the strongest under the sun. And, as he powers up to his full force, I am the new king of the Saiyans, as well as king of Earth. Vegeta saying, fine. Collapsing, hitting the ground, as they actually did have that duel. This being what turned Goku into the King of Saiyans. Though Goku saying, I won't need it, dropping the title, not even like it was important. Goku has access to all the money in the world. And he actually helps farmers so much that they don't even care about him taking free stuff. His family live in palaces. Chi-Chi never worries about money since she's basically she's a billionaire. A trillionaire at some points. Bulma and Launch all live with Chi-Chi. They all live together. Though, this is where they all live together, and Vegeta is actually quite strong, winding up not thinking about having an heir. Though he does wind up getting with some random girl who's strong-willed. Actually, I'm going to say Bulma's sister. That's right, sorry Jocko, but yeah. Bulma's sister is saying, you're quite strong. Being just as strong-willed as her sister as well. Having a kid, not naming him Trunks, but naming him Vegeta Jr. That was their plan, Vegeta Jr. Or actually just Vegeta, Since Vegeta isn't the only, he's not the first, he's not the second. Hell, he's the fourth. So they need a fifth, and he is Vegeta the fifth. and also the strongest out of the kids compared to age. Just like his father, he's very powerful. Though his power level is actually closer to that of Frieza's at birth than anyone else. So yeah, back to What If. They'll end up actually going to Namek because sadly, they heard that that's where they'd have to deal with Frieza. They all have this power, thinking they would need a spaceship to get there. They send a scouting party with the kids, Bulma, Krillin, Tien, and Yamcha. They send all of them, actually with their mothers as well, being there. They're putting enough beds for everyone to sleep, and the grown men to train the sons on how to properly fight better, even with them already being masters. Roshi deciding to stay on Earth, saying someone needs to protect the planet while y'all are gone, and if something does happen, I'm here to fight. Good, Roshi. Piccolo then saying, I'll go, it sounds fun. Though he only goes with the Saiyans. They have a ship for all of them to fight there. They fight and train until the point where it's shown how much stronger Goku is than everyone else. Having Kaioken, having the spirit power, being the strongest physically anyway. Every day they train to the point where no one's really on their level. Here's where the perfect thing happens though. They get there, deal with the Ginyu Force like they are fucking trash. Now, if you're wondering, what do they do with Go? Since, Vegeta isn't there in this version. Well, simple. They don't need him. Hell, even Krillin is stronger than Vegeta is in canon at this point. Even Krillin is around the same strength Vegeta was in canon at this point. And with so many more people there, they're easily able to fight. Hell, even Chi-Chi keeps her training up, has actually got a power level around 2,000. So she's more than strong enough to throw a few punches. Though she winds up not doing it. Wound up being the sons, the men, and all the women just wound up staying at camp. Launch having her gun there and a bazooka thing, kind of cannon that shoots ki that Bulma got her. Chi-Chi being in a martial arts stance, just like Goku's, to train with, to fight in case need be, in case they had to deal with a Frieza soldier. Now, I'm going to say the average Frieza soldier only has power level around 2,000 in this version, so they're actually the same strength as Chi-Chi, but the cannon that Bulma gave Launch actually has enough power when shooting to be more along the lines of 4,000. Though, it took about 10 seconds to charge up and through the blast. But when that blast is thrown, not a human alive can handle it. Here's what the perfect thing is, though. Well, I mean, other than the Z Warriors, so yeah. They defeat... The same thing kind of winds up happening, in a sense. In this version, Vegeta turned Super Saiyan as well. He cared for Nappa. Nappa raised him. This is when both Nappa and Krillin are blown up. As you hear, you won't get away with this. As a Super Saiyan, Vegeta appears, punching clean into the jaw of Frieza. As you hear, you won't get away with this, you bastard. As you see Thunder strike next to Goku. As you hear, I am Son Goku, the strongest Saiyan warrior, King of Saiyans, and King of Earth. Now you die, Frieza. Frieza, recognizing Goku way too much, saying, Bardock. Because he knew who Bardock was. Because Bardock was a well-known soldier. In this version, even Frieza knew who he was, and actually kind of feared him. Only because Bardock was, well, his thought to be the most likely candidate for Super Saiyan. He was, but not turning into it. Back to What If. As they defeat Frieza, they go through that. They get back to Earth, meet future Trunks. In this version, speaking of a future that is way different than it was than the one future Trunks has stayed in canon. Being a little bit older, being a little bit taller and more muscular, saying they were androids. They could take all of us on. Even kill, though Goku died of a heart virus. Vegeta and Raditz fought together and were almost able to kill an android just to be killed themselves. When a second one intervened and threw one of their arms off into a hole in the other. Then sang, after each event, everything happening being described as a sheer monster. At the end, actually describing the death of Krillin, as he was the last surviving fighter who survived the whole way through. He kept training them to fight. The second last survivor before dying was actually I'm gonna say it was actually hold on, Yamcha. Yamcha and Krillin were the last surviving humans, of the Z Warriors. This is when, looking at the kids, Yamcha had said, Krillin, get them out of here. Seeing the two there, saying, as Krillin said, you know you can't win. Yeah, but I can buy time. You and the kids get out of here. Cracking his neck, saying, I'll deal with them. I'll give you 5 minutes. Get there, hide. As you hear, Kaioken times 200. As this was enough power to actually keep up with them, but rip Yamcha apart doing so. This 5 minutes taking a breather, while he fought this way until it killed him, he hit the floor. Just for android number 18 to stomp, for 17 actually to stomp right on the head of Yamcha as it exploded under his foot. Strong guy, spitting out a little bit of what would be blood, saying, I actually felt a few of those. This is when 18 said, he tore up my outfit. Damn, he was too strong for what I expected. If the other one probably was around his same strength as well, and there's 3 others. Yeah, but he had to use a special killing himself move to do it. I don't think the other one will be willing to. Then a few years would pass, They would all be full grown and be warriors. Gohan taking the mantle of leader from Krillin. The son being, I'm going to say of the sons would actually be very injured. I mean, Trunks and Asta is the name I'm going with for Launch's kid, having actually one side blue, one side yellow, and one in the middle it's pitch black. Think the kind of dividing between of like Go tanks, but in this version just into thirds, instead of it being one color, second color, and then the first color as well. It's a different kind of thing. So yeah, as this is where they would actually say, there's no way. As they wound up getting into a 4 versus 2 to fight. Both, though the only kid that can go Super Saiyan was Gohan. Asta then does something unexpected. He actually was quite badly injured, almost torn apart. As Gohan's arm got ripped off and blown to smithereens, Krillin noted this would be their last fight if they didn't stop it soon, yelling to Asta and Trunks saying, get him out of here. What are you talking about? We can't do that. We're all engaged with them, saying, no, I am. Solar flare. This buying them just enough time to escape, saying, that's not far enough, being barely able to still see them, as you hear, Kamehameha, hitting right into the jaw of 17, saying, oh, so you decided to do the same thing as that Yamcha guy did. No. Well, this is my final doing. Kaioken times 300. Spitting out blood instantly, but one step, being able to push it for around 3 minutes, as they were able to easily escape and hide at Capsule Corp, basically getting him healed with his arm gone. As you hear, Krillin stayed there so we could escape. As this is when the next day they see Krillin hanging upside down, completely severed. His head is taken off with lipstick on the cheek of it, like a kiss happened, and blood on the other, like a boot hit it. They see him hung upside down with his head being right side up, but being on, like, right underneath his blood flowed. They could tell it was him, though. As injured as he was, they hung him up upside down and killed him by taking off his head, turning it where his head was facing the right way, underneath his body as blood poured down out of it, letting him die there. As he was ripped apart, though. Each limb wasn't even connected, just held by different ropes to a wall. Them seeing this were so sad. Gohan stood back up, one arm only, saying, "Listen, we need to fight this." As this is where Asta actually gained the power to actually go into his somewhat Super Saiyan form, only being the false Super Saiyan at first. Then saying, "Look, we still need to do this." As they were all able to actually technically achieve Super Saiyan. And they did. They all hit their Super Saiyan forms. But only right after the death of their older brother. As getting Krillin's body, which they'd done the same thing each time. They would go grab the body, take it somewhere, and bury it. After the second death being Piccolo's, they couldn't revive anyone. This is where, sadly enough, Bulma was actually planning on maybe making a spaceship that could get them off to Planet Namek, trying to revive a few of them. But, noting it had been way too long, and highly doubting they could ever do it, it would be just stupid to try. Being very sad, but knowing they couldn't do anything. This is where we have our technically king of the world. Though on Goku's old throne sits 17 and 18 right next to him, laughing their asses off, thinking they were the strongest, the best. No one could compare. This is when we see a Gohan that's very pissed off. When they start attacking something. Being a city, as Gohan actually fought them to his last breath with one arm. Actually powering up into his Super Saiyan form and actually hitting Kaioken times 20. Saying, "Oh, so you're going to do the same..." Wait, only 20? As this actually multiplied his Super Saiyan times 20, as it really almost destroyed them. He could only manage for 2 seconds because he wasn't trying to fight through the pain and kill himself. He only fought until he was weak and as exhausted as he was, because he still hadn't recovered from losing an arm. Then saying, "You're weak," kicking him, injuring him, and actually winding up killing him as he hit the ground, as his last move was, "Fine." Mouth beam, hitting a full-on beam that almost took the arm of 17 off. And his final power-up. As Gohan died, they found the body. They found Gohan's body 2 days later. Though, with the only two that have traveled there would be Asta and Trunks. Stating what exactly happened, hearing this, they were like, "Holy hell. Damn. That's really messed up." Yeah. Anyway, as Goku had actually decided to actually train harder hearing this, do the medicine, basically if the events actually go up canon with the training, then when they actually do have to deal with the androids in their timeline, They easily take out the first two, even though Goku still has his heart problems and has to take the medicine. This time when Goku is stepping down and Vegeta steps up as the second in command. Then Raditz and then Piccolo. Though, after this point, it was less of an even telling of who is who, and power-wise. They're all about even after that point. At this point, you hear Super Saiyan. We can go into it as well. Even with Super Saiyan, it wasn't quite enough. They were easily able to take out one of Jiro's arms, but once Jiro got to his lab, he still did the same thing. They, even using all their power, weren't able to blow the door down. What they were able to do, surprisingly enough, they were able to blow apart. They were able to surprisingly bust the mountain up pretty bad, so they almost were able to get in right when the door comes down, or at least opens. They see Jiro's head falling down, 17, 18, and the canister was holding 16. As they pull up 16 out right after that, as you hear, androids are back. As terrified as you know, Trunks and Asta were, they said, okay guys, this is them. Getting their fighting stances, being slightly terrified, but still doing it. They get in their fighting stances actually do pretty damn well. But in the end, Vegeta has an arm broken. Hold on a second, guys. Like I said, Vegeta's arm is broken. Raditz has a broken leg. And surprisingly enough, Nappa has his arm twisted 360 degrees. Krillin gives him inches since and all that happens. Basically, at this point, I don't think anything matters, since basically everything goes as canon after this. So, yeah. But there is still a few differences, as we do have to deal with the fact future Trunks isn't quite as beaten up by Cell. He's had more reason to train from the men who helped raise him. He sees them again. It's amazing. This is where, surprisingly enough, he would decide that getting buff and everything, and base form, having Super Saiyan, all that shit, all of it. He has all of it now. And he doesn't even spend any time in he really just, they deal with Cell same exact way. Gohan has to be the one to end him. The other sons are not strong enough, but they are quite on the edge. Goku still died and everything, passing it on to his son, being the new king of the world, and everyone respecting him as so. No one could fuck with him. 7 years pass. Goten is born, considered the one to really take over the title of king. And in this way, they actually have this thing where there's like a match. You can fight to be known as king. Though Gohan didn't want anyone else to be king. Maybe his little brother or child of his own is the only people he'd allow to try taking that title from him. Though they wanted it, Gohan wouldn't just give it over. They'd have to be stronger than him. That was what their father wished, and it's what he's gonna fucking do. That's what he winds up doing. No one has been given or granted the title king except for him. And the royal family is, well, technically now his family. He still ends up getting with Videl, who's got Mr. Satan as her father, and yes, they did train a little bit with him, and he is considered the strongest normal human. Though he isn't the world's strongest, as we all know, that's actually technically Gohan at the moment. Though Vegeta is actually second strongest. And he's challenged for the title of king 4 times. Then he gave up on it. Since, you know, after 4 times getting yo ass whooped, you ain't gonna go back at it. And this is where, even at one point, Raditz would challenge him 3 days before 3 days before Gohan goes to school. So, yeah. This is where it's actually a fun fight for uncle and nephew. At the end of the fight, Raditz is on the ground defeated, and Gohan has one arm, his arm's busted up and broken, and stands victorious, saying, "Good fight, uncle," taking a senzu bean out of his pouch, healing himself and healing his uncle. This is where you hear, "No one is allowed to challenge within 2 weeks of each other." Those are the rules that were set. And if there is a new if someone does become king, you have to write out challenge him right then. You're able to challenge him in 2 weeks. That is it. Just a 2-week thing between challengers, no matter who wins or loses. So yeah, they go with that. This is where the whole Tenkaichi Budokai, finding out the whole identity of Gohan, since he really just wanted to live a normal life and no one really knew who he was. Only Political really cared about who the king of the world was. Gohan kept it a secret that he was from his class, though they did notice the name Gohan was the king's name. This is where we have the second generation kind of happening, as he actually said his brother would probably be the one to succeed him after Videl said, "So these are your brothers?" All of them looking eye to eye with him, saying, "Wow, they're really fucking built." Yeah, other than Goten, they're all pretty much monsters. And even Goten isn't really that small. He's actually more along the lines of Teen Gohan in size. His height being right about center of the core, like center of the abs, to Gohan. And even at some points, maybe even chest level by the end of the things. Now, while he is technically, there is no one really has the same power. Though Trunks and Asta do at times fuse. We'll wind up fusing, that's the whole thing. For the whole, seeing that there was still threats, Goku still wound up getting revived. He still winds up becoming, showing them Super Saiyan 3. And this is when, at the end of this, there's been 2 weeks. And Gohan decided something. While he was going in as the king, people found out who he was. The true king of Earth. This is where Gohan, as big as he was, looked monstrous. Showing that he could still fight as king. Where Satan still won the adults division, only because 18 was willing to take a bribe. Yeah, that whole thing with 18 still kind of happens with Krillin. Only in this version, it's a whole nother fucking monster. Then we have to deal with the whole Beerus incident. That incident goes kind of like canon. The only one training on King Kai's planet is Goku before the event. And then, once everyone else gets there, which surprisingly enough, they only wind up getting there a few hours after the events of the fight. I mean, not really, but like, still, in this version, there was a slap granted. Vegeta doesn't say my Bulma, because while it wasn't him who needed to say it, the one who said it was, surprisingly enough, smirking to myself, Trunks. Trunks saying, "Mom!" Though in this version, so did Chi-Chi got slapped and Launch. Though when those three hit the floor, you hear, "Mom!" This is when Beerus turns his head, saying, "Oh, and who else?" Actually bounding up, backhanding the wife of Vegeta, who was just, Bulma's older sister. As you hear, "My woman!" As you hear 4 Super Saiyans flying forward. And based off all the shit that's happened, we see an ass whooping occur. Beerus is getting his ass rocked by 4 Super Saiyan 2s. Hell, Gohan's in his actual ultimate form. So it's not actually 4 Super Saiyan 2s, it's 3 Super Saiyan 2s, 1 ultimate Gohan, and an ass whooping occurring as you hear, "I won't stand for this," by Goten's mouth, as you hear, "Super Saiyan 3. Goten being the one to go in it, surprising everyone, saying, "Wait, he can do that? What the fuck?" No one thought he could do that, as he's beating the ever-loving hell. They were all beating the hell out of Beerus. Beerus saying, "Enough!" Sending them all flying backwards. Seeing that all of his nephews were in danger, this is when Raditz would fly forward and actually do a punch to Beerus' face, bleeding a little bit out of his mouth, saying, "All that for a drop of blood." Yes, that was an in-game reference. Fuck you. I'm doing it anyway. As you hear huffing and puffing, as Rat started to fight as best he could, as he was just put on the ground as Goku arrives. As he said, enough. Going into himself so he could fight. Beating the hell out of a handful, but that's about it. After the end of Super Saiyan God, Goku, they wound up doing the same for, the rest of them. They all got Super Saiyan God, luckily. Although Vegeta said he didn't want to get Super Saiyan God like that. Though, he would train with them, and maybe even unlock it at some point, but not yet. But after 3 months of training on his own, he unlocked Super Saiyan God. And he even shows that he's actually the first one to get blue in this version. And he started calling it Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan. They all did until we said, you know what, shut the fuck up. I don't want to hear y'all say it that long ever again. It is Super Saiyan Blue from now on. You fucking hear me. We sang this as angry as he was saying. Everyone's saying, okay, calm down, Whis. It's just Super Saiyan Blue now, okay? Okay. But we will describe it to people as Super Saiyan God with Super Saiyan on top of that. The name being Super Saiyan Blue. Good. Just don't ever call it that as its actual name again. That's so fucking annoying hearing you all claim that out as loud as possible. Good. Alright, now. Training again. And it actually isn't just them all training against Whis, since they can actually put punches on him when they all train together. They put punches on him, and the entirety of the tournament is nowhere what it was. In this version, they really don't need to get Frieza. But Resurrection F still happens, and basically all of them are laughing their asses off, saying, who wants to take him? Because even Gohan can whoop his ass. But this version, there being so many more sons, they wind up kicking out Krillin. They wind up not even requesting for Tien to go with them, or Roshi. Even though Roshi had so much experience, he basically granted it all to them. Instead of Tien and Roshi, you have the two older sons. And this is when Krillin would say, let's have a match, me and you. Looking eye to eye with his technically strongest fight he'd have to deal with right now, being Raditz to go into the tournament. They do this, and actually going into the tournament is Raditz, not Krillin, as he was barely defeated, and hit the ground. This is where you hear, don't worry, you'll be able to get enough as any as you wish. Alright, good, done, whatever. Bulma promising to pay the amount of money Goku promised, and they actually still end up finding out about the whole universe thing, saying, oh shit. Yeah. Now, this is when they have to fight Jiren, and this isn't even a fight at this point. They're all in Super Saiyan Blue, or Super Saiyan Blue with the ultimate form instead of Super Saiyan. On Super Saiyan God with the ultimate form instead of Super Saiyan. As you hear, even Goku going into Ultra Instinct still happens, and there's just the most of an ass whooping. That's all. That's basically what happens in this version. Thank you for listening, and that was all for the What If. Also, to whoever commented, what if Slick had a better mic? Fuck you for that, but I do respect that. Let's stay slick, everybody. The Slick King, out.